it happen. Just start doing it, and then the pieces will fall in place. Hopefully the feces don't fall on your face. And that's the other thing. I love that we can have fun about this too, and not take ourselves so seriously.
Yes.
So as we move forward with this conversation, because I know we're getting a little long in the tooth here, and people may get tired of hearing us talk. I want to hear your vision of. Okay, we talked about the big scope, right? We want to help people. We want to cure all this stuff. And 2 or 3 generations from now, it'll be cool to look back and say, Jake and Sifiso helped people get so healthy that they had to tack up drywall for a living in order to pay their mortgages because everybody's super healthy, right? There's no more couples fighting in the middle of the grocery store. There's no more kids bullying each other on the playground. There's nobody dying because of their inability to tolerate distress. But what in your mind are some organizations that you'd like to partner with, if you had a big, magic wand that would carry this message and or promote it and alter their own behaviors?
Well, there for wellness.
Done. Check that.
Done. Check. At the moment, I'm trying and working with my app developers to get the app at a standard where we can be on the platform for NHS. Orca is a big.
Explain those acronyms real quick for people who may not be familiar.
NHS is the UK's health organization.
That's the government. They approve things.
Yes, that's the big. They run the whole health for the United Kingdom.
For the United States people, for those living in America, that would be the equivalent or something very close to the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration. The National Health Service is the UK's equivalent of that. They vet everything and they give their stamp of approval, and it's a big deal.
Yeah, that's correct. And so they're working with an organization called Orca. So Orca grade all the health applications. So right now we've already been graded, but there's a few things that we still need to change and improve. But that's where money comes into for us to build and create and improve.
Yeah,
and being
it's
self-funded
expensive.
is really difficult because I also got to eat.
Yep, it's expensive, and you got to pay people to do stuff.
But I need to eat as well. And other organizations are Time to Change. That's another United Kingdom organization. They do amazing work to helping and giving information on mental health and creating charities, groups, and services. And they have hotlines, which they are amazing. And I'd love to work with them because I think we have the same vision. And they also do a lot of work with kids, which I believe truly is where we need to focus a lot, is the young kids in schools, and in adolescents, even kids who are going to preschool.
Yeah,
start them young.
And that, and I'll just give it, because I don't think I've talked about this too much on here. Zephyr Wellness works with a group called Head Start. It's a federally funded program in America. And Head Start works with 3 to 5-year-olds, and then there's Early Head Start, which works with the 0 to 3-year-olds. But primarily, we work with the 3 to 5-year-olds here in Reno, and we help teach social and emotional learning to these 3 to 5-year-olds and their families. And I think parents are an often overlooked part of that. So we target the kids, but that's only an hour or 2 hours a week or whatever. We really want to target the parents so that they're there with them the rest of the time. And that's, I love that you pointed that out. That's the kids are super important.
Very. And also back home, mental health is still stigmatized really badly throughout the whole nation. And I would love to talk to someone at the South African Federation for Mental Health to see what are their plans and how somehow we could work together. I've always dreamt of also creating a podcast for South Africa. I have another host in South Africa because I really would love the Noggin Notes podcast to have each region or each country have their own host or own show. Well, it would be amazing.
I just got tingles.
That would be amazing.
What's Jürgen Jacobs doing these days? He'd be a great host.
He would be a great host. I need to call him. He's on a yacht somewhere. I think last time I saw him was in Barcelona.
Jürgen Jacobs, for listeners who are not aware, was a guest on this podcast. I told you I was going to name drop. Jürgen he founded and operates a group called Small Steps, right? Small Steps Surfing.
Small Steps.
And what he does is he takes underprivileged kids around South Africa out into the water and teaches them to surf, but he does so with tourists, basically. Tourists come into town and they go on this, I'm putting air quotes in, vacation, but part of that vacation is a give back to take these children out into the water, and it's very therapeutic, and it's really wonderful. It's really wonderful. You know what just struck me is how, it's not the first time, but it just struck me for the first time in this conversation, how really special this whole endeavor is. The fact that you and Lauren met in essentially China, and you moved to Cambodia. You're in Cambodia right now. The magic of the internet has connected us. You live in South Africa. I live in the United States. We've interviewed Jess Robison from the UK.
Jess Robson.
Yeah.
Run Talk Run.
Robson. Yeah. Robson. From Run Talk Run. She's got an organization called Run Talk Run that now is both in the UK and the US, and I think that's phenomenal. Tom was from the UK, and that had nothing to do with Jess, but Jess came on the podcast because she's got this mental health thing. You can look her up at runtalkrun.com or .org. We connected with Jasdeep and Jay in India. Your web developer team, I think, is in Vietnam. Is that right?
Yeah, Vietnam, correct.
Yeah.
My development team is in Vietnam. Amazing guys.
Right.
Lifesavers.
Right. Yeah, totally. Because we were down, for those of you who are app users, why we were down, we had some glitches, but they're fixing them. And then we interviewed Lauren, Martina and Lauren with
and Tina. Yeah.
Yeah, with the pet rescue in Cambodia. Lauren is the veterinarian. Martina's the founder, if memory serves. And we talked about pet rescue in Cambodia because Cambodia's got all these crazy animals running all over the streets that are basically domesticated or could be domesticated pets. But there's not resources, and so they take them in and they keep them well, and they rehab them. And when you adopt a pet, the question, I think that the podcast was humans helping pets, pets helping humans, something like that. And it was the question was who helped who? Did we really rescue this thing, or did it rescue me? And I thought that was super magical. And then domestically in the United States, I've had the privilege of interviewing people from all over the country. A school counselor in South Dakota, Katie Baskerville, Mike McGee, who's a psychiatrist in California. We talked with One a Week. Help me with the name. Yes, and he's in New Jersey. No, somewhere back east. But it's mind bending, man. Like we're really reaching out and touching.
People we're connected
I
with.
know. What continents have we not covered? We've not covered South America. We have not covered Eastern Europe. like we haven't gone to Antarctica yet. But oh man, this is so cool. This is just we haven't gone to Australia yet. But man, it's
Australia, yes. Australians, come on, mates. Reach out to us.
Yeah. Anybody in New Zealand at all? Oceania, broadly. But it's so cool. I think it's not. If you're listening and you're just thinking that we're geeking out and high-fiving ourselves, we are. This is just cool. But I think my intentionality is that if we can do this, you and I, like with zero resources besides just our own good hearts and some, like I got this like Yeti mic that I got on sale on Amazon, and I stuffed it inside a wine box and put some like pillow batting inside of it to make it sound like a sound booth. And my old 7-year-old Dell laptop, like if we can make this happen, anybody can make it happen. And if you're in any of those countries or on any of those continents and you're listening to us and you want to be the next Noggin Notes podcast host in, Colombia, please reach out, because there would be nothing cooler than to bring this message elsewhere. Because there's billions of people who are struggling, and like Sifiso and Tom, they just need a place to go. And it doesn't take, I know this is going to sound like heresy to my own people, but it doesn't take a master's level clinician to do that.
People need it. The world needs it.
They do. And it can be informal, and it doesn't have to cost a bunch of money, and we don't have to bill insurance. Yeah, man. Well,
there's a bright future for mental health, and it's guys like us. It doesn't take a rocket scientist or someone incredibly educated. It starts with us, people on the ground, to get this moving forward.
Yeah. And yeah, that was perfectly stated. I really appreciate you, man.
I appreciate you too, brother.
Thanks for making this happen. Thanks for having the vision, and quite honestly, I think that the word that we haven't mentioned is courage. You had the courage,
yes,
to step forward and say, I'm struggling, I don't know what to do about it. How about this thing? And maybe through this thing, we can help other people through their things. And I think that's just, it's special, it's powerful, and it's inspiring. You know who I forgot to mention? Austin Byler.
Austin Byler.
What a great human being he is.
Yeah. Amazing.
He took his own mental health into his own hands and turned it around and said, I'm going to go help children by teaching them how to play baseball better. We've had some great guests on this podcast.
Truly humbled. I would have never thought 5 years ago that I'll be sitting here talking to you and have met all these incredible individuals.
Not to mention
vulnerable.
Not to mention all the people. I was going to say, not to mention all the people in my own organization, like Dave Reed and Steve Barsha and Amanda Green and Julia Catlin, and like who else have we had on? Adrian Sutherland and Patrick Rogers and Afton Neufeld and Katie Damon talking about nutrition. And no, they're not even in our organization. They're in other organizations. They've just been, polite enough to come on and share their stuff. Man, 100 episodes.
100.
And you think in the beginning I was freaking out about, where am I going to find content to share on the air? Oh, man. Well, I think we're going to wrap it up for the night. This has been a good podcast. So if you're hearing this now, you could probably just turn it off. Thanks. And at some point, you and I will actually meet, and we'll give a big hug to each other, and
definitely,
and it'll be cool. So, thanks to our listening audience. Thanks to everybody who's been along for the ride. It's been an incredible experience. There's more to come. We have more podcast interviews on the calendar. But have you considered therapy? That was another one that's just on. Whitney Goodman, who's lighting the world on. Whitney Hawkins Goodman from Florida, lighting the world on fire with her. Follow her on Instagram. Jeez, we've had some incredible guests. Jesse Lott. Name dropping. Cool recap. But anyway, thank you to the listening audience. Thanks for sticking with us. Thanks for all the support. And I think chiefly to my very, very loving and tolerant wife and family for putting up with the late nights and all the. You can't see me, and thank goodness the camera's not on because I'm about to burst into tears. But she doesn't even listen.
I've got a box of tissues right here, mate.
Can you stick them through the interwebs and send them to me? But a big thanks to all the people who have supported us along the way. My business partner, Lindsay Bell,